The reason why your tennis elbow symptoms may not be going away is that you may potentially be missing the hidden root underlying cause of why that exact part of your body has become dysfunctional in the first place. So in this video, I want to show you how to permanently fix tennis elbow by absolutely going through some symptomatic treatments, but I also want you to take a step back to consider why that's become sore so we can treat that at the same time. So if you feel like you've run out of ideas or you've tried everything or you're just looking for a different perspective on what causes tennis elbow, let's get into it. G'day, my name's Grant Frost and I'm an Australian musculoskeletal physiotherapist who's really passionate about trying to figure out those root underlying causes of all the common aches, pains, injuries and dysfunctions that I see day to day clinically. And in the case of tennis elbow or lateral epicondylitis, there is a really big part of this that I think consistently gets overlooked that clouds a lot of people's understanding of what it actually is, but more importantly, why it has a chance to develop in the first place. So in this video, we're absolutely going to go through some mobility exercises, some nerve glides, and if you're a member of the channel, the extended version of this video is going to go through some basic strength exercises to help tennis elbow. The main thing I want to cover in this video is I want to completely change your perspective on what you need to do to give this a chance to settle down and go away. Because the lens that I would like you to look at your symptoms through is it's best to think of tennis elbow or lateral epicondylitis as a consequence of something else. You may absolutely have developed a local dysfunction there. Perhaps the tendons become overloaded. Maybe it's become a tendinopathy. Perhaps the muscles that attach into the tendons may have a slight tear in them. The nerve as it travels through that area may also become irritated or annoyed. Regardless of what the label is that underpins the dysfunction that you're experiencing, it's very real, it's very true, but we need to think of that as a consequence of something else. Because the single biggest missed perspective that I see clinically about lateral elbow pain or lateral epicondylitis is that the overwhelming majority of those symptoms are set up to be there because of more obscure, relatively hidden neck dysfunction. We're talking overloaded joints, tight surrounding soft tissue. You may have some wear and tear, a disc issue, a nerve issue, but interestingly, you may absolutely have no overt or obvious pain in that area. We're looking at mechanical dysfunction or just general dysfunction at the levels of the neck, at the base of the neck and the top of the upper back that have the nerves that run down through that area, or the dermatomes, the myotomes, the referral patterns that these segments connect and influence. And what I find clinically is that if you are doing all the symptomatic things, you're massaging it, you're strengthening it, you're bracing it, you're resting it, you're injecting it, you're operating on it, if you aren't also pairing all of those very valuable things up with a step back and a focus on improving the function of your neck, then you may never allow this to permanently go away forever. So I think the first and the most crucial place to start is trying to show you how to figure out where your neck may be dysfunctional and show you how to treat that first. So because we may be hunting around an area that itself doesn't feel interesting or obviously dysfunctional, it can sometimes be hard to appreciate that this may actually be relevant at all. So in order to make sure that we consistently base things on results so that you don't have to trust me, you don't have to guess about this, what I would always urge you to do first is do a movement or an activity that alerts you to how your symptoms feel. That could be as simple as making a fist, twisting something. We're then going to get you to take a ball of some sort. This is a lacrosse ball, you can use a tennis ball or anything else that you feel fits that mold. And we're going to go looking through the joints of your neck for anything that feels stiff, tight, restricted. It may or may not be tender. We're going to treat the area, then you're going to immediately reassess those exact same movements or activities again to see if anything has genuinely changed. Because if it has, you'll hopefully see that there may be a genuinely tangible link between lower neck dysfunction and the symptoms that you may be experiencing. So if you can grab that ball, grab your object, and we want to start essentially at the base of the neck where the bump is, the main bump that sticks out there. We're going to place the ball on the bump. We're going to let it roll off to one side. I'll choose my left. Lie down. You can do this leaning up against a wall in sitting. You can do it standing as well. You may need to roll your neck and shoulders and your body to that side a little bit to get some pressure onto it. All we're doing here is we're trying to get a sense of, does it feel hard? Does it feel thick, tight, restricted? Especially when we compare it to the exact same spot on the other side. So for me, this right side, there's no tenderness, but it feels like the ball sinks in a little bit easier. When I come across to the left side, it feels like I'm met with more resistance. The ball doesn't feel like it sinks in as easy. This is the side that I want to be on. Irrespective of which side you feel your elbow symptoms in, we're not necessarily as interested in which side of your neck as much as we are the level that is dysfunctional. So again, trust what you find, that all you need to do is just literally leave the ball in here. Give it a chance to just sink in and press into that tight soft tissue, the muscle over the top, but we're trying to get it to sink into the joint underneath.
Stay here for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Then once you've had enough of that spot, we then want you to systematically work your way up a little bit higher to the next joint, do the same thing. Keep going as high as you feel is relevant. And then we want you to come back down to the main bump and start to work your way down as far as you feel is relevant as well. We don't want to neglect anything. We want to hunt through all of it. Spend enough time on each level so that you feel like it maybe starts to give and starts to soften. Hopefully to the point where you may feel like your neck magically starts to move a little bit freer, so you know that you've effected some change here. And as soon as you've done that, immediately reassess the exact same things again. Does it feel any less painful straight away? Do you magically feel stronger? Can you start to do more of that activity than you could before without the same level of symptoms? Obviously, if there's a small tear there or a tendinopathy or there's some other irritation or local consequence, it's unrealistic to expect your pain will just go away straight away. We still need this to improve again. But if the neck is impacting the function of that elbow, you may see a 10, 15, 20, 50% reduction in your pain. Perhaps it feels stronger straight away because we've stopped potentially inhibiting the function of the tissue in that area. But more importantly, it doesn't matter what I say, it's more important what you feel. So let me know in the comments down below, did you feel any noticeable difference straight away just by freeing up your neck when reassessing how your elbow symptoms felt? Because if you did just find potentially the missing piece of the puzzle or the hidden underlying cause of why that may be there in the first place, what we're going to get to at the end of this video is we're going to talk about why that part of your neck may become dysfunctional in the first place, so that you can also change that so this doesn't keep getting stiff and restricted and it doesn't keep negatively impacting the function of your elbow going forwards. But once you get a good sense of what role, if any, your neck is having on your elbow symptoms, the next thing that may be relevant for you is to go through a very simple nerve gliding exercise to make sure that the nerve that comes from the base of your neck, the radial nerve, runs down from your armpit through that exact part of your arm. We just want to make sure that it's flossing freely through all the tissues that it needs to and it's not unintentionally contributing to those local symptoms. So when trying to master the radial nerve glide exercise, it's really important to remember that neural tissue doesn't stretch. Our nervous system is essentially the same as a bunch of steel cables running through our body. And when we're doing nerve stretches or nerve gliding exercises, we're not trying to lengthen that tissue, essentially because we can't. But what we do need to appreciate is there is inherently enough slack throughout that nervous system so that we can get into all the shapes and positions that we want to without that nervous system running out of slack. And while with these gliding exercises, we're not trying to stretch the nerve, we're trying to floss that neural tissue through all the channels that they pass through and should pass through comfortably. But that radial nerve passes down the outside of that elbow, and if that is in any way dysfunctional or compromised from a mechanical perspective, not that it's getting pinched or a disc is bulging into it or anything more sinister like that at the neck, but if you are just stiff, tight and restricted at the neck and you pull a bunch of tension out of the nerve from above, then you're essentially increasing the resting tension anywhere along the course of that nerve, which again can also contribute to tendons, muscles, the nerve itself becoming irritated, overloaded, and developing into something that doesn't tend to go away easily. So the way that I'd like you to do this radial nerve gliding exercise is I'd like you to be up nice and tall, arms by your side to start with your wrists bent. And for me, instead of having your hands pointing straight back, I do find it best to have them pointing out at about sort of 35, 40 degrees, or as far as you feel you can do it, without you feeling like you lose that good shoulders back position. Because I find the simplest way to do this is to be into this position in a good posture and just gently swing your arms backwards and forwards. Now, because of the direction that your hands are pointing, you're not necessarily swinging your arms straight forwards and back. You'll notice that in this position, if you just come forwards and backwards, you'll sort of be swinging about 45 degrees through the front of your body. But what you're looking for here is when you bring your arm fully back, we're looking for a light kind of a tension or a pulling feeling through maybe the top of that forearm, potentially the side of that elbow as well. We always want to be respectful of any symptoms that you have. We want to make sure that you work within that so something like this doesn't exacerbate them in any way, despite our best intentions and despite this being a more gentle version of the exercise. But just some gentle swings can be enough to start to mobilize the entire course of the string or the cable as it runs down sort of the back side of your arm and exits from your armpit. So you can go as far back into that movement as you feel you have available to you, and just doing 10, 15, 20 of these
knees, you should feel that it starts to feel a little bit freer and freer, which means you might be able to swing your arms further and further back the more of these that you do. And once you've done that, have a break, then again come back and do the same movement or activity that alerted you to your symptoms before. See if it starts to feel a little bit better. If you wanted to make it a little bit harder or a little bit more challenging for you, you can definitely start to bend and flex your elbows. And as you straighten them out, you'll find that that straightening as you elongate backwards just feels like a little bit more of an aggressive way to do this. But do 15, 20 at a level that feels comfortable for you, reassess your symptoms and see if anything has magically changed. Because if it has, then the mechanical aspect of that nerve was contributing to the dysfunction that you're feeling at the side of your elbow. And again, while your tennis elbow type symptoms, the tendinopathy, whatever may be dysfunctional there, may still need time to correct itself, if we can get to the underlying factors that may have contributed to that, then clearly we're going to create a better environment for it to feel better faster, while also hopefully taking away a bunch of symptoms at the same time. And then once we've worked on the general sort of nerve gliding of the radial nerve through the area, the next thing that we can work on is some specific massage or mobility work to all the tissue through here to see if that will also help you as well. So once we've checked your neck out and we've started to work through the neural tissue as it passes through the elbow, we do start to want to narrow our focus a little bit more to your specific symptoms. And a really simple thing that you can do at home is if you just grab some moisturizer or some massage cream, you're most welcome to get into the tissue as it runs into the outside of that elbow. What I would recommend is that you definitely spend some time hunting around looking for some of that tight tissue in your forearm muscles, especially as they form into the tendon that attaches into the side of your elbow, which becomes sore. But one of the things I think gets missed a lot with self-massage is we also want you to look above that lateral epicondyle for anything else that might be tight as well. Because again, that radial nerve hooks through the back of your tricep as it comes through the outside of that elbow. And anywhere along the course of that nerve can also become tight, thick and restricted and negatively influence how your symptoms feel. It may even be contributing to why those symptoms presented themselves in the first place. So again, if you get some cream, just gently massage through. You don't have to be too technical. You can just find a tight spot like I have there. You can do some frictions to try and get it to free up. You can lightly massage it as much as you want to with the cream. And the other alternative that we have is that you can also do the same thing with the ball. So again, using your hands and fingers is certainly a great substitute. You don't need any special training, but the same thing with the ball. What you can do is you can roll that around again, looking for anything that feels thick, tight, restricted. And again, you can massage it like you would if you were massaging yourself. But one of the things I like to do with the ball is we can get you to find a tight spot. And for me, there's actually a little bit of a tight spot there. We can keep the ball there, do a trigger point, encourage that tissue to release that way. You can also keep it there and then use movement. So I can bend my wrist back until I feel it pulling through the ball. You can sort of work around that way. You can turn your palm up and down, again, to try and use movement to shear free some of that tissue. So we've got plenty of options. You can massage it, you can trigger point it, you can actively release it. Make sure that you also come above the elbow. Like I said, any of that tightness in there doesn't have to be there. We can use movement to try and sort of shear that tissue free. And then as always, once you spend some time freeing up that locally tight tissue, immediately come back and recheck those same movements again, see if your symptoms are any better. And now, just before we talk about why all of this may be here in the first place, if you are a member of the channel, there will be an extended version of this video where we're going to go through some very simple strength exercises to help improve how the tendon functions, but also the elbow as a whole. So as we need to talk about for any of these permanently fixed videos that we put out, it's not enough to just treat the area that hurts. You may absolutely have some local dysfunction, but if we don't take a step back to try and appreciate why that's become locally dysfunctional, then you may still get out of pain eventually, but we haven't necessarily convincingly solved that problem. If you found that there are some locally stiff restricted spots and they do genuinely improve or impact your symptoms, we need to figure out why that spot on that side in that specific area has also become dysfunctional. And again, if you're a follower of the channel, you'll know that the most common cause of that is quite simply just the shapes and positions that you put that part of your tissue into the most throughout the day. Interestingly, I would argue that tennis elbow / lateral epicondylitis is not an overuse issue. Yes, using your tissue could be the thing that exposes that dysfunction, but if there's no dysfunction there to expose, using your tissue is not a good enough reason to explain why one specific part of your body has become dysfunctional. You may inadvertently be overloading a very specific part of your neck long enough and often enough to create this chain reaction of events that you're using the tissue eventually exposed. So what I would urge you to do is to just take a moment to consider what you do with your body the most throughout the day. Typically, it's not the active, interesting things because we're often never really in the one set shape. We're kind of moving through position and position to position. But take a moment to think about the stationary, sedentary moments. Couch, car, computer, laptop, phone, instrument, arts and crafts, gaming, homework, reading, it doesn't matter what it is. We're just trying to find a position where you start to maybe look down enough or drop and roll your shoulders forward enough to start to introduce increased load through a specific part of your neck and upper back. And if you can figure out that there may be 2 or 3 things you'd never really thought too much about because it's your elbow that hurts, not your neck, what I would urge you to do is from today, start to try and become taller with your shoulders more comfortably back more often. If you need to, arrange your desk, your chair, your workstation, whatever you need to support this shape rather than drag you out of this shape into this one. Because time and time again, the way to permanently fix tennis elbow may actually lie with improving your stationary day-to-day postures and shapes, not blame you for using tissue that should be used too much. I hope that makes sense. So as always, I genuinely hope that this was helpful. If it was, let me know in the comments down below. I need your feedback. Did you find some hidden stuff with your neck that did make a tangible change to how your elbow symptoms feel? If you did, let me know. If this was helpful, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more of these videos. Please hit the hype button so this video gets out to more people. Become a member to get the extended version of this video. If you're dealing with persistent issues and you're not sure where to go or what to do, consider booking an online consultation with me. We can go through this in real time, find out specifically what your issue is and why it's there, and also what you may need to do to permanently fix it going forwards. But as always, I do genuinely hope that that was helpful and hope to see you next time.